am so back. Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. I am feeling refreshed and ready to go after 5 days in my favorite place on earth, Aruba. If you don't know, it is literally the only place I'd rather be in the world. What is wrong with my hair today? I'm not so red as I said because I love makeup. So makeup has made me not as red, but I'm like pretty burnt. Like, it's fine. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys had a profitable weekend. I know it's Tuesday, so happy Tuesday to all. Anyway, nothing. I'm just interested to see. Yeah, Aruba. That's how I feel when I go to Aruba. I arrive on the plane and you just see the island below you. It's the best feeling. I try my best to get away from the world. I try not to watch sports as much. I did watch the Kentucky Derby, so shout out to Mike Somich for giving us a winner on Sovereignty. That was awesome to watch in the lobby of the hotel. I've never stayed in this hotel before in Aruba. It was absolutely beautiful. I'll get to that in a little bit. There's a lot to get to today. Mid-Major Matt's going to join the show, talk some Major League Baseball props. Mark Zinno is going to come on, talk MLB, NBA. We've got NBA playoffs tonight, Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. MLB is on. I'm pumped. I'm finally going to watch games. Yesterday, the Yankees got delayed twice. I got home. I saw Devin Williams blew the game again, decided to not turn it on, and I am so glad that I didn't. That didn't surprise me, by the way, that Devin Williams blew the Yankees game last night because, surprise, surprise. What did shock me, not only the Knicks beating the Celtics, that wasn't what shocked me. It shocked me that Spike Lee decided to go to the stupid Met Gala instead of sitting in his courtside seats. Like, I get it. Like, it's the Met Gala, whatever. Come on, dude. You claim you're like the number one Knicks fan in the world. How do you go to the Met Gala over watching your Knicks get a win over the Boston Celtics? Shameful. You know why it's shameful? And I put my money where my mouth is. Back in 2016, Syracuse made it to the Final Four. I was one of 7 student media members sent to sit and cover the Final Four when Syracuse was there. When you get credentialed for the Final Four, you're credentialed for the entire Final Four championship game. That was when Villanova hit the buzzer beater to beat UNC. Pretty sure that was the game. And I decided, because I'm such a diehard Yankees fan, and everyone who knows that I love my Papa Marty, I love my Papa Marty, I wasn't going to miss opening day. After Syracuse lost, I left. I went to opening day at Yankee Stadium. Guess what? The magical buzzer beater happens, one of the best finishes in March Madness history. I missed it. No regrets. None. Because when you go to the team that you love, you will never regret watching them over some other stupid event. The Met Gala. Come on, Spike. You could go next year. Are the Knicks going to be in the playoffs next year? We don't know. The Knicks going to beat the Celtics in the playoffs next year? We don't know. You missed it. Shame. Shame on Spike Lee for missing out on that opportunity. From a gambling perspective, so you guys, if you were on X, might have seen my post about the crying baby on the plane. That was actually on the way to Aruba. This baby was relentless. This baby was in the row next to us, would not stop crying. And when he stopped crying, he was a screamer. Even if the baby was happy, he was screaming out of like happiness. So screaming, crying, screaming, happy. So, I'm going to get to the hotel. Like, it's all good. We land safely in Aruba. Fine. Like, now my vacation begins. We go to the hotel. It's gorgeous. Stayed at the St. Regis. It's brand new, just opened in January. In fact, it is the only St. Regis, supposedly, that has a casino in it. So, of course, naturally, I have to go to the casino and try this out. I go to the casino. I sit down next to this woman, this older man. They're not together. Older man with his 2 granddaughters. These granddaughters, by the way, racking it up. I mean, like, these girls are 18 years old. Just barely legal to get in the casino. Have no clue what they're doing. Grandpa's telling them everything to do. These girls are hitting like blackjack after blackjack, anchoring the table. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. I mean, like beginner's luck, but it was both of them cashing. The grandpa knew what he was doing. Woman next to us, in between me and the grandpa, has her Chardonnay. And she's looking to grandpa for advice on what to do at blackjack. Like she didn't know what hands to hit on, what not to. We're all sitting at the table, and this woman goes to, like, on the table. Wine goes everywhere. Now, I'm sitting on 2 face cards against a bust card. Now, the like, pick guy comes over. He's like, okay, we got to pause the game. The whole table covered with Chardonnay. Covered. I've been to a million casinos. I've gambled a lot. I've been with a lot of drunk idiots. I've never seen this happen before. Cards soaked. Chips soaked. What do we have to do? We have to now go through the deck of all the wet cards and get new cards to replace all the wet cards, replace the wet chips, have everything like lay down on the table. So now I'm sitting on 2 face cards against a bust card for 20 minutes, waiting for them to be done fixing the stupid table. I end up pushing on the hand. The dealer ends up with 20. And I wait all this time. This woman doesn't even know how to play, ruins the table. They bring her over another glass. Now they're watching her like a hawk. Like, this lady is about to spill her wine any minute, every time she hits the table. And now the grandpa and the granddaughters walk away. This woman next to me, I say to her, I'm like, hey, like, she had 12 against a 6. And I'm like, you gotta stay, like, let him bust. She goes, nah, I don't care. Hits. Table loses. I'm like, I'm out. So now all I'm thinking this whole time, my mom comes over. She goes, everything okay? I'm like, no, I gotta go. And I was like, all right, you go, because I don't need you getting into a fight. I don't need you getting mad. I don't need you getting angry at this woman. Like, just leave. I said, oh my gosh. Thank God Kelly in Vegas was not here. We would never be allowed in that casino again. This woman, hot mess. Middle-aged woman, no clue what she's doing. Not even drunk, just clumsy and dumb. So anyway, I still can't figure out what was worse. And like, those were the only 2 bad parts of my vacation. That woman screwing me over, or the crying baby on the way to Aruba. Which, mind you, we get to the hotel and the crying baby is staying at our hotel. Anyway, the rest of the trip was fantastic. Thanks for asking, anybody. No one really asked, but the trip was great. I actually wanted to show you guys what the St. Regis looks like. This was the when you walked in. It was absolutely stunning. I would 100% recommend, if you go to Aruba, to stay at the St. Regis. We used points. This was the lobby. We watched the Kentucky Derby from that from that bar, and the casinos to the left. The gym was stunning, state of the art, amazing. And I was at the gym every day that I was there, because not only was the gym great, but this is your view from the treadmill. Like, you can't get better than that. And it's all worth it, because at the end of the day, you get that. A nice margarita. Their margaritas were fantastic at the St. Regis. I did end up winning at blackjack. St. Regis, I feel like I won at life for 5 days. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. I do miss those margaritas. It is disgusting here in New York. Raining and gross. I'm very curious if the Yankees and Padres will get their game in tonight, because Michael King is back in the Bronx. That's who the Yankees dealt to the Padres in the Juan Soto deal. I actually saw something from King earlier today about an interview saying that he was glad to be on the Padres because they weren't going to trade him for some he was glad he got traded because he knew the Padres weren't going to trade Juan Soto for a middle reliever. They knew that he was going to have his shot in the starting rotation. So we'll see the redemption tour tonight. His strikeout prop was a little too high for me. And there's no one else to help me break that all down than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mid-Major Matt, back on the show, ready for action. What's going on, Matt?
Good to hear from you this morning. So we were able to continue our chats, and you don't look as lobster-like as you were describing. Like, you're tan.
Makeup.
Over tan.
Makeup. I have some tan lines. I'm a little burnt here. I'm definitely I covered up myself with the jacket. And I stayed out of the sun a little bit yesterday, so that helped the burn go down for sure. But I looked like your shirt the first day.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wore a red bathing suit the second day just to make sure I didn't get to the level of the red bathing suit. I made the big mistake. Have you ever done this before, Matt, where you've gone on vacation? You're like, okay, I'm just going to like go grab lunch. We just had a long day of travel. I'm just going to go grab lunch, sit outside, enjoy the weather, not thinking in that 1 hour of time you might get sunburnt. You ever do that?
Occasionally I do. Yeah, when I've done some remotes outside for radio, I will forget that I am outside and be like, maybe I should have worn some lotion. So I'm like hiding under the table almost that we're sitting and doing our shows at.
Yeah, I was apparently my back was to the sun and we were eating lunch. I was fine until I got in the shower, realized, ow, that doesn't feel really good. Then my mom went to, it was bad. I have a picture. I was considering posting the picture, but you know, I don't know. I don't need to post any revealing stuff on here. It's fine. I'm going to keep it professional.
Exactly. That's what we do. We're professionals on this show. Professional. You're a professional accountant, and I'm the guy that comes on that occasionally sounds like an accountant.
Accountants love to make people money, so let's make some people money. And there's no better way to do that than Cal Quantrill Day. Over 4.5 hits allowed, Matt. Why are you playing them that way?
I mean, like, I don't even need to explain this. It's Cal Quantrill. It's 4.5 hits. I got this price last night. I'm looking now. DraftKings still has minus 160. Like, you know how we talk about juice not being worth the squeeze sometimes? Mm-hmm. I'd almost still play it at minus 160. Like, the only thing that kind of happens here is if he potentially gets hurt or the Dodgers somehow start all their bench guys. Like, I can't see a scenario where Cal Quantrill doesn't give up 5 hits and they need him to do innings. And this is one of those things where it's kind of like that Rodon bet you and I talked about a week ago against the Orioles. It was seemingly a trap line and he still went over and it hit, but like, this seems like a trap, and I've got to take it because 4.5 hits is way too low for Cal Quantrill.
Didn't these two just play each other?
Yeah, and he had his number was 5.5 in that game, and he left after the 6th hit because he knows how much we love him. So he stayed in long enough to get the 6th hit and go over.
I love that this year you're not afraid to take those risks in betting those same matchups twice within a month because usually you back off that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what does Cal Quantrill have that he didn't show in that start against the Dodgers? Like, it's just one of those things where the Dodgers lineups are really good. And it's funny because not a lot of guys have great numbers against him. There's some guys who have some good numbers against him. Freddie Freeman's 9-17. That's really good. Andy Pages is 4-7. It's probably not Pages, but whatever it is, that's what I'm calling him. Andy Pages. And he's 4 for 7. Like, I can't look. If I lose this bet, I would make this bet 6,000 times out of 6,000. So like, whatever, it had to be done. It's
a very low number at 4.5. Is it still there at minus 145?
Nope, minus 160 on DraftKings, which as I just said, I would still probably take it there. The problem is, so I don't know about you, but like, if there is more juice, do you ever feel the urge to have to throw more to make that bet worth it because of the higher juice?
Yes, because if you continue to lay minus 145 and you're only doing it to make 100, you win that bet, but you lose some other bet, you're probably still negative on the day.
Yeah, that's the one thing that, if you're somebody who throws extra, look, I don't see many scenarios where this loses. And if it loses when I'm back on Friday, I will say I tip my cap to Cal Quantrill. But I can't see other than him.
The only fear with Cal Quantrill is that they pull him before he could get to that point.
Yeah, but so even in his shorter outings, he gave up 8 hits to the Phillies in 3 1/3. He gave up 6 hits to the Dodgers in 3 2/3. The only time he went under this was against the Braves when he had 5 innings, 4 hits back on April 5th. So like, I don't know. We know the books occasionally make errors. This is why looking at all of these markets, this is why sitting down every morning, looking at every market and every sort of thing, you could find one place where the book may have messed up. That's why I posted last night on Twitter at like midnight. I'm like, what did you do, DraftKings? I'm posting this play now.
I don't blame you. It's Cal Quantrill Day, which means we got to find a way to fade him, especially against one of the best teams in baseball. A late game tonight, Emerson Hancock and the Mariners are on the road at the Athletics, which we know in Sacramento, there tends to be runs scored. So why do you think Hancock is good enough? Or excuse me, why do you think Hancock is going to give into that by going under 17.5 outs?
So quite simply, only two starters have gone 6 innings in Sacramento against the A's. It was Jamison Taillon back on April 2nd, and it was Kodai Senga back on April 13th. Every other right-handed starting pitcher has gone under 6 innings. And look, this is one of those classic trend plays, because if you look at Emerson Hancock, he's gone over this number a couple times. He's gone 6 innings several times this year. So like that's, I'm simply playing a trend where pitchers struggle in that ballpark. He went 6 innings against the Angels last time out. He went 6 innings in Fenway. He went 5 innings in Cincinnati. So this is one of those plays. And if you notice, like on my app, it's a smaller unit play for me, but just playing the trends that until we consistently get right-handed starting pitchers going 6 innings or more in Sacramento, I'm going to take the under here.
It makes sense. There's a ton of runs being scored, so they're going to be pulling pitchers. I get it.
Yeah, and you look at the total here, 9.5, 10, I believe is what I last saw. So the books are predicting a lot of runs in this game, and I really like this lineup. I do have the season win total over on the A's, so I'm, knock on wood, feeling good about it so far. But yeah, I'm just going to take a shot on the trends here and play the under for Hancock's outs.
I like it. I know that Jessica was saying Novig has -130 on the Quantrill over hits. Sean Michael said Hard Rock has Quantrill over -145. So we'll see if you could get a better number. And Jessica saying solid correlation to mention there, Matt, on high total. Similar thoughts. So
yeah, because we talk about you and I talk about in the show stories being told by the books. And so a lot of times I like to look at the outs and the earn runs allowed and see where they're juiced. If they're juiced a lot to the under, then that means there's going to be a lot more runs scored, which means there might be less strikeouts. So you kind of almost have to let the sports books try and tell you the story. Now, look, obviously, if you disagree with the story they're trying to tell, then you go in a different direction. But usually the books will tell you what they're thinking is going to happen on a night-to-night basis by how they shade these pitcher props on a night-to-night basis.
Strikeout prop time. Chris Sale over 6.5 Ks at -145. I was very nervous about this play. Why are you okay with it?
So first off, I'm only okay with the 6.5. I know some books have the 7.5. No, thank you. I'm not going to take the over 7.5, and I probably wouldn't take the under 6.5 or under 7.5 either. So we went back and forth, and you talked about how there was a lot of 6s. And if you look, last time out, Mackenzie Gore had 9 strikeouts in Cincinnati. If you look at some of the 6s, there's 6s that some pitchers have that are normal. There's 6s that other pitchers have that are really like 9s elsewhere. Like Steven Matz, a 6 in 4 innings. That's a lot more for a normal pitcher. Kyle Freeland had 4 strikeouts in Coors Field. Like that in a normal place is like 7 strikeouts. Let's be honest. They've had 6 against Nasty Nestor, who I don't even know. I assume he's injured, right? He got injured.
Yeah, he's on the IL.
Yeah. So like 6 for him is a lot. And then Tyler Alexander had 6 strikeouts against the Reds. So this is one of those classic cases where you almost have to look at the pitchers that these teams are going up against and seeing how they do. Andrew Heaney had 6. He's a really good strikeout pitcher, so that's kind of an active and honest number here. Matt Liberatore having 2, that was a little bit of a concern, but there was also a rain delay in that game as well, so that kind of ruined things there. So look, Chris Sale's a strikeout pitcher. He's home. They need him to go deep. The Reds just strike out a lot, so I'm going to take a shot here at a decent price.
It makes sense with the way the Reds struck out a lot last year. I mean, the Reds last year were striking out way more, I feel like they were this year, especially against lefties. So you've got to imagine at some point they might like regress back to the means because it's just been like a lot of no-name lefties against them.
Yeah. Last year, as you said, this is a team that struck out a lot against lefties, 5.43 strikeouts. Now, the irony was they actually went under their K props against lefties last year more than they went over. But yeah,
but that's because the book catches on.
They do. And plus, when you're a team that has a lot of higher numbers and you still go under, it's a high number, but you go under the number. Like that's for the White Sox. The White Sox are actually an under team by the numbers, but they're seeing a lot higher numbers in terms of the K props themselves. They're averaging 6 strikeouts per game against lefties, yet they've gone under in 6 of those 10 games. So like it all depends on what the number that is being set by the books.
Right. I also find it if you have drastic lefty righty splits, we tend to see one side go over or under heavily a lot more because of the drastic lefty righty splits, as opposed to if a team like the Reds strikes out a lot against lefties and righties, the book automatically assumes, oh, high strikeout number because they're up against the Reds, as opposed to, oh, we might get a good number because someone like the Orioles, low strikeout rate against righties and high strikeout rate against lefties.
Yes, that's how we got that low number for Rodon that neither of us fired on because we thought it was a trap. And it barely went over, but sometimes the books do just post bad numbers.
Justin Verlander under 4.5 Ks plus 106. Very good value here to take an under on a pitcher that's been throwing pretty well, Matt.
Yeah, this is a price play. And I noted on the app, but you can track me on the Action Network app. That's where I post all my plays. And I post, when there's just price plays. And look, you and I know that there are a lot of pluses that we're sometimes scared of, but we should probably take a chance on anyway. Justin Verlander's gone over this number several times. The Cubs have gone over this number a little bit more than I would have liked as of late. But if you look, Peralta at home, 7 strikeouts, that's about right. He's better at home. Nola, 6 strikeouts. Nola's got strikeout stuff from time to time. But Justin Verlander's his fastball numbers aren't great. And it's Wrigley and it's the Cubs, and he's probably only going to go 5-ish innings. So at a plus price, I figured I'll take a shot on a team that's traditionally been under. They are averaging, for those people who love clean numbers, they're averaging exactly 4 strikeouts per game this season against starting pitchers overall. So it's a price play. If it was minus money, probably wouldn't have played it tonight. At plus money, it's worth a sprinkle.
17 of the 28 righties to start against the Cubs have gone under their strikeout prop. So definitely more towards the unders there. Again, that was something that the Cubs were a high K rate team last year. This year, not striking out a lot, which is why you're seeing these pitchers go under. The books haven't caught on yet.
Yeah. The one thing that's interesting, the Cubs have had 3 last batter overs. I always like tracking that. I started adding that this year to our spreadsheet. 3 last batter overs for the Cubs this year. So when Verlander gets 5, I'll text you and be like, yep, they did it again.
Great. That makes me feel awesome about betting that this morning. So we're just going to move on so I don't harp on it and hate my life. Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Everyone's going to be all eyes on Paul Skeens and the Pirates tonight. Yet you're going with the other side, Matthew Liberatore. Why?
Yeah, I just think this is a situation where I like what I've seen from him. The thing I like more about him is that he's going longer in games, and this was one of those situations I couldn't decide if I wanted to play the outs over or the strikeouts over. And actually, if you look at it, the strikeouts over in this situation would have been the better play for the Pirates because some of the lefties are not going as longer against the Pirates. But if you look, Fried was 6. Liberatore had 7 in Pittsburgh back on April 7th. Abbott had 5. Parker, who's not traditionally a strikeout guy, he had 6. Logan Allen, another guy who's not a strikeout guy, he had 5. Boyd had 6. Imanaga left with an injury. He had 3 and 5 innings. That probably wouldn't have gone over this number, but I just, once again, I'm going to take a chance in this certain situation that Liberatore is going to stick around 5+ innings and maybe even spread out 5 strikeouts in this game. But this number seems a little low. I might have seen, a 5.5 might be more apropos here, but by our numbers, I like Liberatore over 4.5.
Lefties 6 and 2 over under their K prop against the Pirates. So 6 of 8 have gone over against Pittsburgh. Something to keep in mind with the Pirates. His numbers just scared me a little bit. He had 4, 7, 7, and 4 against high K rate teams this year. So I was like, I don't know if I want to leave the juice.
Yeah, I can understand that, but it's more so the fact that I'm gonna know that most likely he's going to give me 15+ outs. The Reds game, I believe, was a rain delay back on the 1st, so that one, who knows how that would have gone. Milwaukee, Milwaukee's an interesting team. I haven't really figured them out that much. I don't think either of us have played many Milwaukee games. Oh, we actually have, and I haven't done well. You've done better in Milwaukee games than I have. But then you got the Mets. They are, an interesting team. The Phillies strike out a lot, and then the Pirates game. So I'll take a shot. Low number at home. I figure he's going to go over that.
There's a lot of bad weather games today, Matt. Where would you tell people to stay away?
Well, we saw the Colorado game get taken care of. Here's the thing. And, when you're looking at the weather sort of situations, I would lean more towards unders in those things, but I wouldn't still make them larger bets because there's been times where I've played some unders waiting for weather and it hasn't come yet, or it never came. So, weathermen are not necessarily the most accurate people, but if you know that there's going to be a situation where there could be a rain delay mid-game, I would not take any sort of overs unless they're really, really, really low numbers. It's sad that we were going to get that rookie game tonight between Dollander and Job in Coors Field. I assume that means they'll play. Is it tomorrow now? Is that the doubleheader?
I did see the update when I was doing my makeup, and I decided to not read it because I didn't care. And that's a really bad excuse for me. I did see it. Yeah, the game's postponed will be made up Thursday, May 8th, as part of a traditional doubleheader. So game 1, 1:10, game 2, 30 minutes after.
We may get the rookies again tomorrow. Dollander's interesting. I mean, Dollander has gone over his K-prop a couple times in Coors. He's gotten rocked in some of those games, but, going up against a Tigers team that doesn't strike out as much. And then Job has flashed some strikeout potential, but with rookies, we know that you either have a really good debut in Coors Field or you get, beaten up pretty badly and you don't stick around very long. That's why we're getting a really low number, because most times I would take an over on 4.5 against the Rockies. You could go out there and I'd probably take the over on your strikeout prop against the Rockies because they're just not hitting anybody right now.
Earl wants to know, he's looking for a sure winner to use $26 bonus bet on. Which of your favorites? Which of your props are your favorite?
Well, so first off, there's no sure winners. There's no sure winners, to say the least. And when you start focusing really hard on, I find when I get these really large bonus bets and I spend a lot of time finding the right one to use it on, it loses anyway. So you really got to go with your first instinct. I mean, look, it's the Quantrill bet, but the problem is you're not going to get much return because the juice is not going to be good. If you're one of those people who likes to take plus money props with bonus bets because you want more money back, I mean, it's probably the Verlander bet. That's the only plus money one of the group. I think my favorite is obviously the Quantrill bet. I think second's the Liberatore over. And I think the third is probably the Hancock under on the outs. But that's, whatever you think of you like the most, that's what I would use your bonus bet on.
Mid-Major Matt, thank you so much for coming on. As always, looking forward to seeing you on Friday. Good luck with your bets.
Thank you. And we'll talk again tomorrow.
Sounds good. Let's make sure I don't mess. See, every time. Oh, see, there's Matt again. I always mess this up. I can't do the transition phase. Anyway, my mom tells me sometimes I mumble when I'm trying to produce the show. So I have to try to be cognizant of it. She said I'm bad at taking advice and criticism and feedback. So I'm listening. I have to project at all times. Even though I get yelled at for talking too loudly and projecting way too much all the time. Somebody who I know probably has similar problems to me with projecting a lot because I know he can get loud, but it's great. I'm very curious to hear his thoughts on something before we even get his picks. So my good friend Mark Zinno was traveling today and is so nice to join us despite being, messed up again, being on an airplane. Thank you, Mark, for coming on.
No problem. Coming from somebody else who also has a mother who likes to criticize and tell me where I'm wrong and constantly berate me and remind me what an inferior child I am, I can completely understand. So, yeah.
My mom just watches these shows. She doesn't know what I'm talking about. All she could do is criticize how I look, what I say, how I say it, not what I say, how I say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How the show looks too.
I get it. I've been there. I when you get to be my age, you just sort of tune that out and you just forget that they ever exist. And it's just okay, I'm leaving this conversation now. You get to a point where you're just like that with your parents, okay, I'm done talking to you. I'm leaving.
We actually, when we were in Aruba this weekend, my sister and I, it was a girls' trip. We put my mom on a no talk about work, suspension. She wasn't allowed. It was part of the rules of the trip. You do not get to talk about work unless you are spoken to.
Ah, yes, there you go. And I don't see you very lobsterish. I was expecting a lot more flushness.
Makeup is a really powerful thing. If I did no face makeup, you would have seen. But I was showing before, I definitely have some tan lines and I'm red there. I'm red on my hands. You get burnt in weird places.
I don't burn. It must be the Italian olive skin. I get really dark though. I get very, very like almost different race kind of dark.
Yeah, I'm jealous of anyone that does. But okay, I want to get your thoughts before we go into your picks for today's slate.
Please don't
You
ask me
love sports.
I was going to say, don't ask me about Devin Williams.
No, I'm not. I'm going in a completely different direction, not even the same sport. You love sports like I do. Obviously, you've grown up with it. You love it. You also serve in the military, so you know what it's like to be loyal to your team, your squad, etc. Right? Okay. Nope. See, I can't stand this thing.
It'll come. Just give it time. It'll come. It's coming.
This is the right one. Okay. Spike Lee chose to go to the Met Gala last night instead of sitting courtside for Knicks Celtics. That was a terrible fan, no?
Wow. For a guy who sits courtside for pretty much every Knicks away game, that is a interesting. I didn't even notice he wasn't there. I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't. He went to the Met Gala over the Knicks game?
Yeah, and he thinks he's wearing a Knicks hat, and that's going to make it any better?
No, that's a very, I would like to think, maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he had a benevolent reason to be at the Met Gala over the Knicks game. Like, I don't know if there was something charitable going on that he was doing, but that's not a decision I would have thought Spike Lee would have made.
Would you choose the exclusive Met Gala over sitting courtside at your team's playoff game?
If it was like the first one I ever went to, maybe I would choose the Met Gala, but I would assume Spike Lee has been invited to many of these and has attended several of these.
It would be your first Met Gala or your first courtside playoff game.
Courtside, no, I would not pass up first time courtside seats. No, like first
especially for the playoffs.
Yeah, especially against Boston. Maybe he thought like the rest of us Knicks fans, we literally had no chance. That we literally thought we were going to get run in the building.
He might have missed the only win that the Knicks had the whole series.
Right, because the Celtics missed 45 3-pointers. My God, I had the Celtics team total. Just.
Oh, you did?
Oh God, it was just 61 in the first half. I'm like, all we need is 50 in the second half to push. The Celtics can score 50 in a quarter if they're really hot. Nope, they scored 49 points between the second half and overtime, while going like 9 for 37 from three. It's insane.
Absolutely insane.
Historically bad performance by the Celtics. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think this thing where I find like historically bad way. It's not even like it was a bad beat. I don't consider it a bad beat, right? Like it was more of a bad bet than a bad beat, like not really acknowledging the fact that the Knicks could win the game and their defense could be good. But to miss a NBA playoff record 45 threes is like going up in flames.
When you bet on something that you lose because something historic happens to make you lose, something that's never happened before, a historic number, those are the bets I don't feel bad about.
No, I agree. I mean, look, and somebody, you know how social media is of all people. In one of the videos that we put out for wages, I was like, loser, you got it wrong. I'm like, yes, you're right. We did get it wrong because, when I handicap, what I typically do is I think, what is a historic performance that the team could have? And then bet against that happening. Because that's what I would do. I mean, like, it's just, there's nothing you can do about the fact that they missed four. You just, at some point in time, if you do this long enough, you always play the percentages or you look at the numbers that lead in your favor, like and the trends over time. The Celtics in 4 games last year against the Knicks went from 38%, 48%, 48%, and 47%. If they would have shot 28% from 3, not 25, 28%, which would have been 10% lower than their worst game against the Knicks, they would have gotten over their team total. Like, all it really took was 2 more threes is all I needed. That's it. 2 out of the 60 some on they took. 2.
You're a glutton for punishment because you're going back to another team total over in the NBA playoffs tonight. Who you got and why?
Golden State. Look, the way I kind of part and parceled this with the Warriors here.
What number did you get? You got Golden State team total over what?
Over 101.5. So, look, Golden State can't shoot as poorly against Minnesota as they did against the Rockets. I know they won the series, but they only shot 43%, and that was sort of lifted by game 1 and game 7 where they shot 47%. Every other game, they shot less than 42% in the other 5 games. Okay, so Houston had a really good answer for Golden State, and particularly Steph Curry. They had a really good answer. They also held them to 35% from 3-point range throughout the entire series. The T-Wolves went 1-3 against the Warriors this year in the regular season. Again, we'll kind of just look at the trends and the numbers here a little bit. They held Golden State to 39% shooting in one game. It's the one game that they won. 39% from the field, 20% from three. Golden State didn't even get to 100. They got to 90. They lost the game. In the other three games, they shot at least 46% or higher, or 47% or higher in every single game. They scored at least 113 points in each. And Minnesota's defense, while good when you talk about defensive efficiency, I don't think that they guard Golden State as well as Houston does. And furthermore, they're a little bit more offensive minded than Houston is. They have legitimate scorers. They have Ant. They have, our former favorite Nick, Julius Randle, Mike Conley. They have other guys who can, who can fill up the bucket. So, and while Minnesota doesn't really play fast, but I think this game will lead towards more scoring. And we saw the total tick up a little bit from 207 to 209.5. If the Warriors don't get to 100 here, Ariel, they're probably not barely breaking 90, right? Like, it's not even going to be close. They should clear this
Steph
number.
has shot well against Minnesota. I'm pretty sure it's 30+ in majority of games this year.
I know the Warriors have weary legs, and that is a concern. And my buddy on the Morning Wager, Brian Powers, tells me, you got to stop telling people how your handicap is, how you're going to lose the bet. But I always feel like I have to acknowledge going in and saying, look, this is what I know is at risk here. So the weary legs could be a problem. They could, and the emotional letdown after a game 7, they could come out slow. They could come out not refreshed. Minnesota's had a long time off. It's been a short turnaround. Like, you have to acknowledge the fact that it's a dangerous spot to play in. But in reality, again, Ariel, Minnesota can win this game 110-102, still cover it, and the game still goes over.
Tired legs could still mean tired defense, which means you have to score more to keep up with their defense not playing as strong as usual.
So when I look at team totals, I always kind of look at it as a situation, do I have more outs? And that's really what I think I have here. I have a few more outs here with Golden State. And at least the 4 regular season meetings have told me they are much more inclined to score against this Minnesota defense than they were against Houston.
Not an official play by any means, but do you think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are far and away better than the Indiana Pacers?
I said that coming into the series. I don't want to back off that yet. Look, the Pacers are not going to shoot the same way they did in game 1. They were shooting 68% for the entire first half almost. Like in the middle of the third quarter, they were still in the low 50s. Like, I don't know if they're going to pull that off 2 games in a row. Was it rest versus rust versus for the Cavaliers? I don't know. But look, I'll say this repeatedly. Indiana's not winning an under game. Cleveland can win an over game because they can shoot the 3 and they can score. But Indiana's not winning an under game, right? If the game goes under, it's going to be all in favor of Cleveland because that means Indiana's not scoring. And that's what it boils down to. With the pace that Indiana plays and how well they can shoot nearly 49% from the field, if it stays under, it's because the defense of Cleveland is doing their job.
How concerned are you about the Cavs' injuries?
It's been a thing. Like, you have to acknowledge it at this point. They need a bounce back game like you wouldn't believe tonight. Like, some people will sit there and look at this. Okay, if they win by 2 points or whatever, and get a home split, you'll feel a little bit better. But in reality, kind of the way the series would unfold, it's not a moral victory thing for Indiana. But if Cleveland can't come out and reassert themselves here a little bit, at least for a half, and go, okay, look, we're just like Boston did. Boston reminded the Knicks how much better they were in the first 24 minutes of that game. They're up by 16 at halftime, right? It wasn't even close. So I think Cleveland needs one of those starts, and that's really what I would do. I would play Cleveland. If you believe, I would lay the points with Cleveland in the first half, right? If they're flat, could they come back in the second half? Yeah. That's not a game script I think that favors them, because
I just don't want to see the Indiana Pacers in the next round.
No, we don't need that.
If they have to face the Celtics, that's maybe a sweep, if not a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think they match up well. But again, Indiana's strength is their pace and their shooting. I mean, you have to look at them from that standpoint. And if they start out hot, chances are they're going to stay hot. But I think the game script that's more likely is Cleveland locks them down early, and then they make a run and try to get back in it. I think that's more likely than the converse of Cleveland starting out slow and then playing catch up to a team that shoots really well and plays with pace.
The Cavaliers remind me of the Toronto Blue Jays, just a bit more successful. A team on paper that always should look really good. A team that should always be much better than they actually perform on the floor. The Cavs have everything I love in a basketball team. They've got the size. They've got 2 great guards. They're okay, kind of deep-ish. But when it comes to the big moment, they just cannot come through. And it's so frustrating.
For all the lauding that we did of Kenny Atkinson this year, and he's going to be the coach of the year in the NBA, but this is his entire coaching season right here. Come up with a game plan, come up with something that figures out.
Yeah, even if you lose to the Celtics, you can't lose to the Pacers.
No, you can't lose to the Pacers. You can lose to the Celtics and the defending champs in the Eastern Conference Finals. You can't lose to the Pacers.
I mean, I feel bad. I'm already taking the Knicks out of it, but there's just no way in my mind that this team doesn't choke. And
it's not, but it's really a choke. I mean, Boston is leaps and bounds better than they are. They are. Like, it's just, the Knicks surprised everyone. And again, it was the fourth quarter. It was a 21-0 run against Detroit in game one in the fourth quarter. They came back and stole that game. And they did it again here. I mean, I'll ask you this, because I said this and people looked at me a little bit sideways. Is Jalen Brunson the greatest Knick ever?
No. He's not the greatest Knick ever.
Think about it.
He's been great. Don't get me wrong. The Knicks are nowhere without Jalen Brunson. But he's only really been a Knick for a couple of seasons. So let's see if he keeps... I can't deem someone greatest ever when you've had other players who have given their careers, a decade of a career, to the Knicks and got them further than one round into the playoffs.
Fair enough.
If they beat the Celtics and Brunson stays with the Knicks longer and they continue to be consistent, then we can have another conversation. 2 years, not enough for me.
Okay. He's, in my mind, he's quickly approaching that status.
That's fine. I agree with that. Most clutch? Yeah.
Yeah, most clutch Knick ever. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I could see him being one of the most clutch Knicks in history. I want to switch over to Major League Baseball. San Diego Padres, they're playing tonight. Michael King on the mound against the Yankees. I will tell you this. It is really gross here. I can't tell if it's still raining or not. But if this game does play, what do you like?
First 5 under. I mean, revenge start for King, who has been excellent this year. That's the guy that we're looking at going, yeah, the Soto trade. That's the guy we're missing. So, look, I like King. He's been really, really good. 46 strikeouts in 38 innings. It's not like the Yankees are a high K rate team, but there are some holes in this lineup. I have to believe here that Clark Schmidt, who typically in his Yankees career has been much better at home than he's been on the road, and he's been bad to start the year, Ariel, as you know, it just hasn't been good with a 5.52 ERA. But he had a nice turnaround start against Toronto. And maybe he started to figure it out after starting the season a little late and coming off the IL. And I think he can do it here. Obviously, the Padres are still missing. Oh God, what's his name? Was the kid, the outfielder?
Jackson Merrill. I think he's back today.
Is he back today?
He might be.
Let me check. Hold on. But anyway, their lineup has been a little bit less than potent. And even after they stole one last night, I feel like they might be a little bit again here a fade spot for Sandy.
I love a revenge spot.
Yeah, but again, it's going to really rely on Clark Schmidt doing what I think he can do here. I think King, if he gets touched up early, it's 1, maybe 2, but we got a good favorable number here at 4.5, and as long as Schmidt doesn't get banged around, keeps the ball in the ballpark, we're good.
Okay, so first 5 under in Yanks Pods, and then you've got another revenge spot tonight. You like this spot in Rangers Red Sox, where Nathan Eovaldi, former Yankee, also former Red Sox, is going up against his former team, the Red Sox. The Rangers are on the road at Fenway. Why are you going to back Eovaldi tonight?
Well, there's not a better reason ever about not back Eovaldi, right? The biggest concern you have with Texas is can they actually hit? And I think they can against Giolito, who is making his second start of the year, and his second start since coming back from surgery. He missed all of 2024. He was not good his first time out, and his numbers, analytics don't profile well in a hitter's park like Fenway Park here. So with Eovaldi, and the fact that we're doing money line here, if the Rangers score a run, I feel like I'm guaranteed to push. Famous last words, right? Jinx of the world. I feel like we're guaranteed to push if they score 1. If the Rangers get to 2 or 3 here, Eovaldi's got more than enough here over the first 5 innings. It's not that I mind the bullpens in this spot, Ariel, but if I have a lockdown starter like Eovaldi, I'd rather just trust him. There's some variance you bring in when you eliminate the bullpens. and there's some variance you take out. But nonetheless, here, I'll trust Eovaldi to give me 5 solid innings here on the road against the Red Sox. And I'm not a big – even though the Red Sox lineup at home is top 10, top 12-ish in batting average, OPS, WRC+. So they do hit at home, but this is a spot here for the Rangers lineup to get to Giolito.
I hope so. I like Eovaldi tonight in the spot against the Red Sox for strikeout reasons, obviously. I hope that he stays in the game long, too.
Yeah, but I mean, Red Sox are top 12 in K rate at home this year. So, there's some holes in that lineup as well for him.
Mark Zinno, let everyone know where they can find you over at Wager Talk.
Yep, Wager Talk every morning on the Morning Wager. Check it out on Wager Talk YouTube. Of course, also on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, Instagram, at Mark Zinno, and also ESPN Radio. Whenever I'm on there, check it out there as well.
Mark Zinno, thank you so much. And thanks for doing this on a travel day. Good luck with your bets tonight.
Thanks. See ya.
Let's see if I could do this correctly again. I kind of did it this time. Yay! Sorry, I was mumbling there, Mom. That's my bad. We got to get some NBA. I've got some trends to watch in the NBA. I have trends to watch in Major League Baseball. I just have to add some of these graphics in. I think I just have 2 more to add. Okay. There was, and I know someone mentioned this in the comments before, Anthony Edwards, who, by the way, my friend Kazim Famuide, who came on the show last week, prior to LeBron James going down, said Anthony Edwards is the next LeBron James. He's proving himself so far in these playoffs. Anthony Edwards, his wish was probably to be a star in the NBA. His short-term wish, dating back to last season, was this.
What are you looking forward to most of this upcoming season?
Definitely going back to the playoffs and going further in the playoffs to go versus the Warriors. I want to play the Warriors. I want to get to the Warriors. Wherever they at, I want to get to them.
Got you. Why the Warriors so much?
I mean, because Draymond talks so much trash. That's pretty much the only reason.
I love this so much from Anthony Edwards talking about Draymond Green. Here are some trends to know for the T-Wolves and Warriors game. I'll start with Anthony Edwards. I've actually seen his points prop go from 28.5 to 27.5. He's gone under 28.5 points in 3 of the 4 games he's faced the Warriors this regular season. I'm probably going to stay away from him tonight. I don't like the way the number's moving. I don't like that he's gone under this against a good defense in the Warriors. Unless you do believe that the Warriors have tired legs and their defense isn't going to look as great. I'm not saying I'd fade Anthony Edwards. I'm not taking his under 28.5 points, but I'm just saying he has gone under this number in 3 of 4. He's on a mission. Wants to prove Draymond Green is all talk, no ball. Draymond hasn't had that great of a playoff. Jimmy Butler has killed rebounds plus assists for Draymond Green. Maybe Ant-Man goes off again. I'm certainly not fading Ant-Man. Just telling you the trend goes under. Julius Randle has also not had good numbers against Golden State. His points prop was 20.5. It's now dropped to 19.5. He's gone under 19.5 points in all 4 games against the Warriors this year. Jaden McDaniels, under 13.5 points in 3 of 4 against the Warriors this season. These were all regular season matchups, of course. Warriors trend. So it's the first time that the Minnesota Timberwolves will get the Golden State Warriors with Jimmy Butler. Steph Curry, 30-plus points in 3 of 4 against Minnesota this year. If there was a star player I'm going to choose between Steph Curry and Anthony Edwards, I lean more towards Steph Curry in the spot, especially if he knows that the Warriors' defense isn't on absolute fire. Steph gets tired and he gets better. It's a weird thing. He's that good. First game of the series, I would go with Steph. McDaniel, focus on guarding Steph most likely. Yeah, so McDaniel to go under 13.5 points. I like Steph. You could look to an over of 30 points. Or excuse me, his prop's 26.5. Sorry. Steph's prop's 26.5. So you could look to that over since he hits 30. The early game, here are some trends. The Cavs have a bunch of trends, actually. Evan Mobley has had at least 10 rebounds in all 3 starts against Indiana. They've played more games. I think they've played about 5 games this year. But Mobley's only played in 3. I only will consider Jared Allen props with Evan Mobley. Obviously, things are going to change if Jared Allen's in without Mobley. Allen's gotten under 11.5 rebounds in all 3 starts with Mobley against Indiana. Mobley's doubtful, by the way. Okay, well, everyone in the NBA is doubtful, Shawn Michaels. So until proven guilty, we say they're in. Jared Allen is, so if Mobley is doubtful and he doesn't play, then of course we're in wait and see mode on betting any of these props. But Jared Allen, if Mobley's in, I have no interest in his over on rebounds with his numbers against the Pacers. Allen has had a history of being bad against, or bad in the playoffs. Allen isn't as aggressive. He gets tired deep into the season. If Mobley is out, it's a different story. But with Mobley in, I would go under 11.5 rebounds. And Jess says, real chance Mobley isn't playing either. Well, thanks to the NBA, I did not prepare for Mobley not being in. So, yeah, like if that's the case, I think they're capital S screwed. Anyway, Donovan Mitchell, 30-plus points in 2 of 3 games against Indiana this year. Darius Garland had 7 assists in both starts against Indiana this year. I know there's a lot of injuries to this team. Just giving you the trends for how they have fared against each other this season. Pacers trends. Pascal Siakam, I love this. 7 more rebounds against Cleveland starters in all of those games. He's had at least 7. Yup, see, we're on the same page, Shawn Michael. If there's no Mobley, this is the way I would play it. Pascal Siakam, 7 or more rebounds against the Cleveland starters. I don't trust Hallie to go over 10.5 assists again. I wouldn't take an under. I can't fade Hallie and assists. I can just tell you, I wouldn't bet the over 10.5 assists. He's gone over it in just 3 of 12 career playoff games. We only saw 1 game this year with Halliburton against the Cavs, and that was game 1 of this series. So the other one he played, but not many minutes. I just am going to stay away from Halliburton tonight. Siakam is the way I would play the game. 7 or more rebounds against these Cleveland starters. Let's look at some. Oh, and then Bruce says he likes both NBA games over. I feel like Halliburton will score more in this game. Daniel, I feel the same as you. Looking at some batter overs to watch. Freddie Freeman is the name to watch tonight. He's hitting .529 with 2 doubles and a triple against Cal Quantrill. Alex Bregman, also a name to watch. He's got good numbers against Eovaldi. You could look to him over total bases, 3 doubles and 2 home runs against Eovaldi. These are the players to fade tonight. Alejandro Kirk has not gotten a hit in his career off Tyler Anderson. Brandon Nimmo, 1 for 9 with a double and 2 strikeouts against Zach Gallen. Juan Soto doesn't have great numbers against Gallen either, but he has 2 home runs. It's why I left Soto off the list. He's hitting like .220 against Gallen in his career. Decent sample size, about 24 at-bats. I think it's about 5 hits. Just 2 home runs. So with Juan Soto, that scares me a little bit. K-props to watch. I mentioned this earlier. These are not best bets, but these are K-props that I would keep a close eye on. Nathan Eovaldi over 5.5 strikeouts. So Eovaldi scares me every time because he's a pitcher that always can have like 6. Like it's going to come down to the wire. In 2 starts this year against high strikeout lineups, Eovaldi punched out 9 Red Sox in 6 innings, 8 Reds in 9 innings. Now last season against his former team, Eovaldi struck out the Red Sox over this number in just 5 frames. I left this out. This is what happens. I'm like looking at the newsletter for stats and I realize that I've left the number out. Last season, Nathan Eovaldi had 7 strikeouts in 5 innings against the Red Sox. Oh, I did write that. Silly me. I just skipped over the word. Okay. Anyway, the Red Sox are averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game against righty starters, which is on the higher end. 3 of the last 4 starters that are righties to face the Red Sox had at least 6 strikeouts. Nathan Eovaldi, revenge game. I know he's had multiple of them already. It's still one of those things. You go back to the stadium that you used to pitch in. You want to pitch well. White Sox righty Sean Burke, under 3.5 Ks. I know this is a really low number. He's not a good pitcher, so Burke hasn't surpassed this number in 2 of his 3 starts against low K rate teams. Minnesota and the Athletics, he had 1 and 2 strikeouts. Then he faced the Athletics a second time. That's when he had 5. The first time seeing these teams, he's not getting there. In fact, he's not getting out of, like, his most was 4 1/3 innings. 1 strikeout against the Twins in 4 1/3. Righty starters tend to go under against Kansas City, and they're averaging just under 4 strikeouts to start against the Royals, which is very low. Anything below 4 strikeouts on average is very low. Take the under on Sean Burke tonight. I think I do have some propaganda. Oh, can we get Stormy back on? I'll ask her. People don't get paid to come on this show, so I have to be very nice. I can't afford to pay people to like come on the show yet. So people are doing this out of the goodness of their heart. I don't want to abuse it. Just saying, don't want to abuse it. I might have some propaganda. Let me see if they got back to me yet. I don't have baseball propaganda, but I do have NBA propaganda. So I will take a snapshot of it and I will post it in here. Again, I'm mumbling. Sorry, Mom. I'm producing the show. Mumbling. I'm not mumbling. Desktop. I wasn't sure if we'd have time for this because we had such a loaded show. Propaganda. These are your most bet on props today in the NBA playoffs, starting with Pacers Cavs, numbered under 12.5 points. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Pascal Siakam under 1.5 3-pointers made. No way am I laying $2 on that. Benedict Mathurin under 9.5 points. Not really a say. Darius Garland under 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Yeah, I could see that. Again, this is all the public stuff, so I don't always like to agree with the public, but kind of agree with these. Garland have a takeover assist, but it's heavily juiced around minus 140, minus 135. Donovan Mitchell under 5.5 boards. I was looking at his points. I don't really care about his rebounds. I'd have to look at his rebound numbers. Thunder Nuggets, that's wrong. Why is that on here? That's ridiculous. Sorry. I copied pasted this from the email. That's a typo on their end, not mine. The right props are underneath. Just the wrong game is labeled. So just forget that part doesn't exist. Jimmy Butler under 6.5 rebounds. He's going to end up going over because that's why Draymond Green's over rebounds plus assists has been burned. Draymond over 4.5 assists. I just didn't see a trend that made me like Draymond has been so inconsistent. I have no interest in this prop. He's 50-50 on the assist thing. Julius Randle under 4.5 assists. I would go under points. Julius Randle over 20. Number four on that list. We are going under. We are fading the public. Julius Randle under 20.5 points, under 19.5 points. It is already dropped. First field goal, don't care. Literally cannot care less about those props. Don't care. The only time I ever bet these first field goal props are when I'm on the NBA TV like draft. The NBA TV live streams. We do like those bet streams sometimes. We'll do those for fun. Green over assists. No. No. That's a no. Everything Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, I stay away from. Those two are so frustrating. I don't understand. On any given, and I've asked my NBA people, all the analysts, all the NBA pros, how do you bet this team? No one knows. Anyone on any given night on this team goes off. So I'm just giving you the trends. I just have, Daniel's joking. Okay, good. I'm glad you're joking. We've got 1 minute left. You know what that means. We've got our best bets of the day. Royal locks. It's only one lock. Royal lock. And I just said it's a lock. I hate the word lock. Royal lock. I probably jinxed this. Anyway, great value play. Justin Verlander under 4.5 Ks tonight. I really like that it's plus 106, which is why I bet it. Verlander's been putting up some decent numbers. If you look at his starts this season, he's only had 2 starts against low K rate teams against righties. Verlander had 2 strikeouts against the Seattle Mariners in 2 1/3, 1 strikeout in 5 2/3 against the Phillies. The Cubs, they've had the books fooled, which is why you're seeing 17 of the 28 righties to face the Cubs going under their strikeout prop. They're averaging just about 4 strikeouts a game. Since the Cubs were a more strikeout-prone team last year, the books have been a little slower to adjust this year. I really like Justin Verlander going under on the road against the Cubs team that has not been striking out much against righties. Under 4.5 Ks at plus 106. I would only take this at a plus money price. Thank you, everybody, for joining me again here on the Prop Queen Pod. It was a great vacation. I hope you guys got to listen to the story. I know we've like quadrupled in viewers since I started, so you should all go back on the YouTube page, subscribe to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports, listen to my story about the crying baby and the woman at the blackjack table who literally sucked the life out of me and made me go get another margarita. Don't be that woman at the blackjack table. Go back and see what I'm talking about if you missed it. Good luck tonight with all of your bets. Maybe the Yankees won't make me upset tonight. See you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time here on the Prop Queen Pod.